Hey, good morning, everyone. So I think today I would like to um, start out. Maybe I'll just wait for people to appear here. I'll wait for the boxes to light up before I start. So I think I'm going to start today a little bit differently. I'm going to read something that came across my path this week. Just a little, it's really just a phrase that comes from a beautiful book that was just written by Av Nuria. If you don't know Av, he's written. He's very a young guy who has written these incredible books. He's had an incredible journey on the path of liberation. He's been in the films that we create, and he's written a book called The Liberation Gita. It just came out a few days ago. And there's just one phrase that, well, there are many phrases. The whole book is incredible, but there's a phrase that jumped out, and I thought I would just use it as sort of a seed to uh, germinate whatever's going to germinate from it. So in that book, he there's a conversation between the student and their teacher, and they're asking about surrender. So the question is something like, how do I surrender fully, or how do I go deeper in my practice? You know, it could be a question like how do I let go? So essentially, it's, how do I surrender? And the answer is beautiful. It's this phrase. So the teacher says, surrender is not yours to do. You are its offering. Surrender is not yours to do, but you are its offering. So here he's speaking to the false I. The teacher is speaking to the false I, the I thought, the doer, the controller. So he's saying it's not up to you to surrender. So this is the paradox. I sometimes refer to this as the surrender paradox. The conditioned I, the conditioned self, thinks it has to do something called surrender or letting go, or this same I, the same doer, will masquerade in different ways. It will ask questions like, how do I, I've had a peaceful, blissful experience. So how do I integrate that into life? These are all kind of the same question, or they evoke the same pointing or the same answer. It's it's like when Ramana Maharshi, he would use the analogy sometimes that in our practice, in our sadhana, if we make that conditioned self, the conditioned mind, the one who's doing our sadhana, it's like making the thief the chief of police. It's like the very one that is, the veil, the false I is the one. It's the mask that we don't even know that we're wearing. And this, the thief, the uh, the false I, it can take on this persona as the one doing the practice, the one doing the sadhana. And this is just a spiritual persona, just another mask So the ego becomes the doer of this spiritual practice, the meditator, and then it becomes the enforcer of that practice. It's the one that it's watching the mind, but it's still the mind watching itself, watching the phenomena of the mind. So in this situation, there's still the split. There's still two. So, what do we do when we see this situation? There's nothing to do. Many teachers speak of an effortless effort. For the conditioned mind, there's only two possibilities. The conditioned mind will do something, or it will try to surrender, whatever that means to the conditioned mind. But there's another option. There's another way, and this is the alchemy of meditation. This is the alchemy of self-inquiry. Is that we're neither doing nor suppressing the doing. And we just allow everything to be as it is, noticing that this conditioned mind is simply resistance to what is. And just by noticing gradually over time, that conditioned I, the doer, loses its power. The thoughts settle themselves. We don't have to do anything. We can't do anything to make a pond still. Anything you do, if you're standing in the middle of a pond, every movement you make will stir up ripples in the pond. So how do you let the pond come to stillness? You just see the situation. You just see the mind that is stirring the pond. The waves are the ripples of the mind, the thoughts. So in Zen, they have Zen always has these beautiful ways of expressing the inexpressible. And there's a saying: if you want to come to true stillness, not the dualistic stillness, not the forced stillness, but if you want to come to presence, to this non-dual reality, it says, let go into the moving stream. So quite often, in our practice at the beginning, it's like the thoughts are like the stream, and it's like the witness is on the bank, we're watching the thoughts go by. And there's a peace in this witnessing. There's a peace being on the bank. We're no longer getting whipped around in the current of life. So that's a beautiful stage, this coming to the witness. But, the egoic mind can, again, appropriate that. It can, you know, that witness is simply part of the mind. There's still a split. It's like the current of life, the river, the thoughts, the sensations, they're all over here. And there's this sense that I'm the witness. I'm somehow separate from that. So true letting go, true giving up of the agenda of that seeker and that doer is to let go into the current. And so there's a stillness, there's a letting go. It's like we've been taken by life. but yet the movement of life continues. So we're not separate from that. So I'll leave that with you, and maybe we can enter into the stream now together. Anything that is coming up in the stream of consciousness, the stream of thoughts. And for those who haven't been here before, just raise your hand uh, or unmute as well. So Philippe, I'll start with you. Hi, Philippe.
Thank you very much, Dan. Um, if I'm trying to witness, and trying, I guess, is part of the issue. Okay, so if I'm just witnessing, I
Mm-hmm.
can zoom in on an emotion and witness on an emotion. I can zoom in and witness the mind. I can't do both simultaneously. It's like even if I detach from being the mind and I consciously stay away from it, it's almost an order of operation. It has to go one thing at a time. Otherwise, I don't even know what I'm witnessing anymore. There's just too
Mm-hmm.
much information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So what you're describing is duality itself, and it's almost like in quantum physics, that's the particle and wave duality. So when the observer is there, when that witness is there, things are more particle-like. We're operating through perceptions, memories, concepts. There's thoughts. So that camera of the mind, just as you said, it can focus narrowly, it can focus widely, but it's operating through that conceptual apparatus. And then when we come to just the witness, we turn attention away from all of that phenomena. We rest as the witness itself. And so it's, that's the duality. We're either in that stream of thoughts and sensations, or we're detached as the witness. And so the inquiry is to inquire, who is it or what is it that is aware of both? There's an awareness, whether that attention of the mind is on thoughts and sensations, or whether it's in that sort of detached witnessing space, the same awareness. There's someone who knows that that's happening. There's something or someone that is aware of both witness and witnessed. There's someone that's aware of the objective world, and then the disappearance of that objective world. So in our practice, in the dyads, we intend to directly experience that one that is continuously aware. So by directly, I mean not using the mind. And this is the part of the practice that is, it's a like a Zen koan. It can't be answered with the mind, but there's an intention, or uh, you could say a longing of the heart to know the truth, of who and what we are. So there's a constant noticing when the mind will try to do it at the beginning. The mind will try to directly experience who we are. But there's a constant unhooking from that, noticing that efforting, noticing the doing of the mind. And it's a process. This is the clearing process that has to happen. The mind has this incredible momentum, and in our sadhana, the sadhana is pulling the plug on that mind. And it's going to go for a while. It's going to keep searching. It's going to keep doing. But eventually, if we're persistent, if we work long enough, the mind will settle for everyone. And it's, there are different practices that work for different people, but my feeling is, whatever it is that makes the mind settle, whatever is leading to less and less thinking, that's our practice.
So, so if I'm watching my mind right now trying to figure that out, that's the witness,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
Um, the witness is witnessing my mind being completely lost.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Hmm.
We
Perfect.
don't know when that mind will quiet down
Yeah.
because it hasn't yet.
Hmm.
And that's okay. So I like essentially don't be so caught up with progress because you may not see any progress for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And the one who is looking for the progress is the one that is disappearing, you could say. The one that is sort of measuring, the one that is evaluating. That evaluation is just thoughts. So those are the thoughts that are settling down. So if you can simply abide more and more, just being okay with what is in the moment, being fully in the moment, allowing it to be exactly as it is, that is it, and the mind will eventually come to stillness. And then, and even that is just a stage. Eventually it doesn't matter if the mind is producing thoughts, the mind's not producing thoughts. There's a recognition that I am this awareness. And when that recognition happens, when that awakening happens, then the mind can come and go, and it doesn't matter. But until then, it's resting as the witness, just being aware, you know, not getting caught in thoughts and sensations. That is the step in our sadhana that creates the space for that awakening to happen.
And so that's the point of the dyad is you're witnessing and calling out what the witness sees the mind or emotions doing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so most of what the mind is doing is unconscious. So that's why we can't just awaken, because the mind is in this incredible momentum. So through the dyad process, we're allowing those deeper levels of the mind to come up to the surface, to be seen, to be expressed. And by expressing them, sometimes there's blockages or energies that are sort of stuck in the body mind. And so by expressing them and sharing them, these are just incomplete experiences we've had through our life. So by expressing them and having a complete communication of it, sometimes there can be emotions that come up, all kinds of phenomena can be cleared. And, and there's a sort of unburdening, an energetic unburdening that happens. And we get to see what's running in the unconscious, what the hidden beliefs are in the mind. So that clearing process, it's the same clearing process that happens on the cushion, but it happens more intensely, usually in the dyads, and more quickly.
Thank you.
Hmm. Yeah. Thanks, Philippe.
Hi, Dan.
Yeah. Hi, Christian.
Hi, Dan. So I've been getting more glimpses or satoris or whatever you want to call it than ever. Maybe about twice a month, and sometimes it'll last for a few hours. Sometimes it'll last um, for a few days. Most recently, I had one that lasted about 4 days, And it got to the point where I forgot what it was like to be in the conditioned self. Unfortunately, since that was the longest, highest mountain, the valley was really, really tough. And
Yeah.
I had recently heard an interview where you spoke about sadhana pre and sadhana post. And I think I'm in that place where I can't use my previous sadhana to get back in because,
Yeah.
it's a different thing. And a lot. So when I'm in that deep little valley, it's so scary. It's like I feel like I'm behind than I ever did. And then when I start creeping back in, then I kind of feel like there are more gains. But in that interview you did, which was really helpful, you spoke about that. But could you kind of just help me figure out a better sadhana, because I don't have access. I mean, I go from being the complete, what I would think, the I am presence, kind of like being on plant medicine, to completely being, a 12-year-old Christian with more fears than ever. Like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. I should, like really, like kind of like a bad trip. And
Hmm.
so, as I'm evolving in my practice, even self inquiry becomes difficult for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what I would first say is you're not doing anything wrong. What you're doing is exactly what happens after kensho. This happens for everyone. So, so the 12-year-old Christian coming up in all of its fullness, there that identification that's happening, you've created through your practice or through that kensho, you've created the space for these deeper conditioned patterns to come up to the surface to be seen. So there's nothing wrong in that. In fact, it's a really good sign that that's happening, even though it's not comfortable. It's extremely not comfortable when these deeper levels are coming to the surface. So so in that space, there's sort of two ways we can navigate. There's a relative and an absolute sort of approach to it. So so when that is coming up, quite often, when we're just sort of in it, all of a sudden we're in it, and it's like, the self-inquiry tools may not be available in that moment, but if they are, it's the best moment to inquire. So if 12-year-old Christian is coming up, the awareness that is there, awareness doesn't come and go. So, what's coming and going is the states of mind, and the states of mind will always come and go. There's never a state that we just live in and abide in continuously. The mind by its very nature is change. So the mind will always
Mhm.
be, we may be in like a merged samadhi type of experience in the
Mhm.
mind, so there's bliss, energy is flowing, and there can be a contracted experience, so a samskara is coming up or identification is coming up. And what we want to do, in our post-awakening sadhana, there's nothing to do other than
Right.
to recognize that that whole continuum of
Yeah.
change is there's an awareness of that, and what I am is not I'm the knower of that entire continuum. So who am I, that sees that whole field of changing states, changing phenomena, so if you're like, imagine right now, if there's something coming up, I don't know what state you're in this moment, but imagine, that contracted
Mhm.
state is coming up.
Mhm.
You know, is there ever a moment where awareness is not here now? If you look for awareness, if you
Yeah.
look for the
Yeah.
presence,
Yeah.
is it ever not here?
I, no, it's always here,
Yeah.
but through the eyes of a 12-year-old.
Yeah. But who's aware of that 12-year-old? What is the awareness
Yeah, I
that
understand.
is always here? So it's always a case of mistaken identity. When we're in the kensho experience, that conditioned self has completely dropped off. So it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So in that space, who I am, there's the mistake that we make is that when there is a Kensho experience, it's extremely blissful. It feel or peaceful. It
Mhm.
just it's awesome. And
Mhm.
and we mistake the state, that state of flow or peace for who we are. So the mind, when the mind comes back, the mind says, I want to get back to that. I want to get back to the state. But it's not about getting back to the state. It's about recognizing the truth of who you are in this moment. And it's always this, this conditioned self always wants something other than what is. It always, whatever, so there's a contraction coming up to be seen, and this is the path. This is our sadhana. It's not about getting rid of that
Mhm.
contraction. That is our sadhana, is to be with it, to allow it, to experience it fully. So the mind
Right.
says, I want to get rid of this experience and get back to that experience. And that preference is the I thought. It's the false I. It's the
Sure.
one it's pushing away what's happening now. So to recognize that, and just nothing, there's nothing to do
There's
post,
nothing
nothing to do other than to see the truth. Just
hard
yeah,
though. It's so
there-
hard. I've even written it down like after,
yeah,
like, okay, listen, a reminder. This is part of it. This is a samskara. This is just another layer. You'll get through this, go through this. And I'm reading, I might as well be reading, anything.
yeah.
I don't have access to it.
Yeah. And it happens. Like I don't know anyone on this path who, after Kensho, the self structure will come up and bloom in its fullness. And
Okay.
there
There's
there
no,
will there will be an identification. And sometimes we'll see it, sometimes but and that identification period will get shorter and shorter.
okay. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Because I felt like recently, I felt like I've resisted even more. And then it's like it's going to make the snowball even bigger. But maybe
Mhm.
that's just part of it.
It is totally part of it, and it's totally normal what's happening. And if we you know if we resist it or try to fix it in some way,
Yeah.
we turn it into a project for the mind, then we get further and further
Okay.
away.
Thank you.
So yeah. hmm Thank you. I'll go to Taro. Hi, Taro.
Hi, Dan. My
Hello.
name is Sveta. I just don't know how to change my
Oh,
name.
okay. Okay, Sweta. Nice to meet you.
I'm very, very new here, and I wanted to ask you about some of experiences that I had.
Sure.
Uh, First, I don't know the right words probably. Maybe it's called kensho, maybe it's called satori, but when I was traveling in Tibet, I every time I went there, it wasn't on purpose, but I felt this I don't know, like unity with everything, and like I'm looking at the world with like a newborn baby without just looking. I could I just sitting at one in one place and
hmm
didn't want to move.
hmm
And then when I decided to learn more about it, first from your movies, of course, because of the name, probably I found it. And with meditation, I could. enter this state within a month quite easily, and it was very peaceful and like melting into everything.
Hmm.
And at some point, I decided that I hit the goal and I gave up meditation. And within half a year, as soon as some difficulty hit me, I started to try and grasp it back. And
Hmm.
any meditation didn't help, listening to teachers didn't help. But my mind just started to like get into turmoil and trying to avoid the pain that was coming.
Yeah.
Um, but now I feel like I slowly um, can calm the mind down. But there are also some strange moments come. Like I understand that feeling, it was a state of mind. Yeah, it wasn't the full recognition of who I am, but sometimes I have during a day a glimpse, like when I'm talking, for split second, I have a thought in my head, like who's talking. It's
Hmm.
like I'm witnessing myself from, it's very weird,
Hmm. Hmm.
from a side.
Yeah.
Uh, or if I see myself in the mirror when I talk, and it's very small glimpse of some weird experience or noticing. I don't know how
Hmm.
to call it.
Hmm. Yeah, wonderful. That's good. So you're seeing the character just sort of talking and doing its thing. And
Yes.
yeah, and it's, and right now, the characters are talking right here, so who are you, that's aware of that character?
I thought that I knew who I am when I was frequently meditating and I got into that stillness. But it was just being. I didn't even have any questions about who I am. I was just
Yeah,
present.
yeah, yeah. And so the being is it's so the question isn't really a question. The question, like, if when we do the self-inquiry dyads, we're we're working with a partner who says, tell me who you are, looking into your eyes, really wanting to know the truth of who you are. The mind might hear that as a question, but it's actually not a question. It's an invitation to into being, which you just described, the being that is here now. And so who you are will just flow from being, just from not from a mind looking for an answer or trying to figure something out, but it's when we allow the mind to just relax. We in Zen they say a don't know mind, a beginner's mind. So allow the mind to just be totally open, and then letting being come through, and this initiates this clearing process that happens in self-inquiry, and more you can just be who you are directly. It's not something to figure out with the mind. The mind will eventually has to give up. If the conditioned mind has to give up trying to figure out the truth, because it's the filter. It's the thing that is, it's keeping attention on the level of thoughts and sensations. So if attention is just on thoughts and sensations, it's like a dog chasing its tail. It's just an endless search. That's the seeker seeking and trying to do something. But when that is given up, when that seeking and seeker is given up, then who or what remains? And that's being. That's it. It's what it's this is the paradox with for the mind is the one that thinks they have to do something or figure something out. That's the little character. That's the Sveta character, that it wants to get back to that beautiful space that was discovered. And that it kind of goes back to that initial quote that I shared at the beginning from Av's book. That's the one that is sacrificed on the altar of presence or beingness. Yeah.
But there are two radical differences. When I first started meditating and just trying to discover it, I wasn't experiencing pain. Everything was smooth and calm, and I didn't have any repetitive thoughts that I just want to get rid of. But when after pause and break in meditation, when I came back to get rid of pain and thoughts and emotions,
Yeah.
and they just were building like a snowball.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to stop your monkey mind when it's already full on.
Yeah. Yeah, and really that's the paradox of sadhana is that exactly when the mind, the mind is so tricky. The mind knows, if I do meditation, if I surrender, then there's this clearing. The pain will go away. And so there's a seeker. There's an agenda to that mind. So so the paradox is by letting everything be as it is, that mind releases its contraction. So so by allowing our pain, if we're trying to get rid of the pain, it's just more contraction. So by allowing our pain, it clears more quickly. So the way in is the way out, or the way out is the way in, So and this is, and it's not easy, there's many levels to this as we progress in our sadhana. So a really advanced individual, someone who has really embodied the truth of who they are. You can imagine like Jesus on the cross is like the ultimate example. There's probably no greater pain than being pinned to the cross, but yet his heart was open, loving. So that's like the highest example of what's possible. But for the rest of us, life will test us in all different ways. So we might be in perfect equanimity on the meditation cushion or in our practice, and then we go into life, and life says, okay, how about this? How about this? And can you be with your heart open, just being in the midst of whatever life is presenting? And so the practices, the dyads, the meditation are, amazing training for that. We have an opportunity to practice just being, just being here, keeping our heart open, not getting caught in the mind, in the thoughts, in the doing. And then we can bridge that. We can start to take that into life. And what you were describing, those little glimpses of seeing the character speaking, more and more we'll see. We can start to inquire in our day-to-day life, who's playing out the script? Is there a script that's playing in life? Who's the doer of whatever the character believes it needs to do, and and who's the one that's just here, just being, just aware, just watching the whole script playing out.
And I had a very small question, your advice probably. I wanted to join 7-day online retreat, but it's quarter to 8 p.m. here.
Hmm.
So I had to look at the schedule. I'm from Russia, from Moscow.
Yeah.
So basically, I will have to turn all my life around and live at night, practice at night, and sleep in the daytime. How can it work? Because probably when the mind is tired, it wouldn't be very active, and probably it would be even beneficial, or
Mhm.
maybe totally opposite. I don't know.
Well, so people can do it in different ways. So some people do just shift their whole schedule if it's possible, but other people, like in the schedule, you can choose your city, like the location, and it'll shift all the times. So maybe, if you keep your normal schedule, some of the live events might line up at different times that you can join. So if you look at that countdown timer, it'll say, live meditation in 2 hours or whatever. So you can just whatever works for you, or just don't even worry about that and just go into your own practice. Just make your own schedule, follow your own schedule. It doesn't, the videos and the teachings are all there as pointers, just pointing you to just be for 7 days. Just that's all they're doing is to just be, to whatever the mind is generating. There's all kinds of hindrances that I talk about in the teachings, but it's all just pointing you away from all the phenomena of the mind to just be here for 7 days. So you can do that anytime, just without the structure, with the structure, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like finger pointing at the moon.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about diving totally head head in into this. So okay,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sveta. Okay. Preston. Hi, Preston.
Uh, yeah, hey. It's like my first time here.
Yes. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong person.
That's all good.
Here we go. Okay. Hi there.
Hey.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what to say exactly, but I just had like a couple questions and kind of wanted your thoughts. Just to kind of bounce it off and say, like, hey, have you heard of this or experienced something like it? And then maybe, maybe you can illuminate what's
Mhm.
so one thing since like the kensho awakening, I didn't really know those words until recently. um all thoughts have basically taken a back seat now for a couple months. And I just they're far away, they're quiet. I often forget or even don't even notice what they're doing, but occasionally uh they'll be sticky,
Yeah.
and I'll find out that I'm like I can feel it sticking and it's fine. And I can just sit with my body and walk away and it's okay. And it's like, yeah, it's fine. But sometimes they'll be sticky enough that I'm stuck in those thoughts. And there's literally like a zap in my head, like an actual sound, and it
Mhm.
clicks, and I'm like, oh, and it felt like I was sleeping while awake.
Mhm.
And it kind of like it's a little shocking. It's like a jolt. And it's happened multiple times, but it happens way less, like weeks now since that's happened.
Mhm.
Have you heard of that? Is that like something like
So, can you clarify a little bit? So thoughts like sticky thoughts are coming up, and then there's like a jolt of it's almost like a waking up from that, or how would you
yeah,
describe it? Yeah.
I would say that like sticky thoughts come up when I'm aware and I can sit there and see like, oh yeah, this one's stickier than another thought.
Mhm.
That's different. But it's when I'm not aware that the thought is sticky until I'm already in it. Like
Right.
I'm in some
Right.
stream of consciousness that I'm not aware of and paying attention, and then there's
Yeah.
a jolt.
A
And it's
jolt.
happened to me numerous times.
Okay. And the jolt is kind of like waking up from it. Like
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that, when you're like falling asleep and you get like a hypnic jerk or whatever they call it. It's
Yeah.
almost like that, which
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do normally get I used to get when I was sleeping.
Yeah,
So,
so what you're describing is a common phenomena after an awakening.
okay.
So Yeah, so when the mind comes back, it's almost, and it's mysterious. I don't really
Yeah.
claim to know exactly how it works, but the phenomena I've witnessed it in myself and in others where yeah, the mind will be doing its thing, and then suddenly it's like yeah, it's like a waking up happens. And people actually with different modalities describe this as well. Like we've worked with
Okay.
entheogens as well. So people who do like a really deep clearing with like a boga or one of these entheogens in the period of days afterwards, it's a constant phenomena where it's the all of a sudden it's almost like you're in the dream and then boom, waking up, and it can, within a minute, it can happen a number of times within
Yes.
a single minute. Yeah, and to me, the way I think of it is, it's like, when we have had an awakening or the true beingness is just present, it's almost like it's breaking through the Maya, it's like it's like a little a power that it has to wake us up over and over again. And
Yeah.
and if we don't continue clearing, if we just kind of go back into the stream of life, then those little awakenings might get less and less, and the mind will come back stronger and stronger. So just recognizing that being that is ever present is our sadhana. There's nothing to do. Um, like I've said a few times, but it's Long Chenpa said, you know, just like the main thing is to remember the main thing, and that's just the truth of who and what you are. And that is our practice. And so those those little awakenings are beautiful, that we want to invite that to and just maybe question, is there an interest in that phenomena of the mind still? Is the attention, is that little eye, is it looking for something still in the matrix of the mind, or the external world? Is there still energies going to the pursuits in the outer world? And not that has to necessarily stop, but it will become more integral. It'll become more conscious. So if there are, if that script is playing out, these little interruptions, or the big interruptions as well, it's an opportunity to bring the whole pattern of life into greater clarity, and just see, where those energies are going in life. And if they're still strong, if there's still unconscious, parts that have not yet been integrated, then there's this split, this sort of back and forth that's happening. So I would, it's a great opportunity to inquire, maybe observe, like what was the mind doing when it
Mhm.
was when that was happening. Maybe the mind was interested in something. So we can start to pull those threads and bring the whole unconscious pattern into greater clarity, and see, where are those energies going? What makes me move in my life? Or what makes the character move in the outer world?
Yeah, okay. That's interesting because it's like when those moments have happened, it's almost like I'm unconscious. I don't even know what the thoughts were at that moment, which is kind
Mhm.
of like completely different than normal. It's just strange because it happened to me
Mhm.
like the other night. Like I woke up in the middle of the night and I was just going back to sleep, and that sleep has been totally weird since, but that happened when I was trying to go back to sleep. And it like happened, like you said, multiple times within a minute. I was like,
Mhm.
what is going on? Like I'm just trying to
Mhm.
sleep. So it
Mhm.
was really weird, but that's something that I mean, it hasn't happened in weeks, and maybe it's something I can be a little bit more vigilant to paying attention. What was that?
Hmm.
happening like at the time.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I often hear of it happening with people who are doing a very deep practice, deep sadhana, um, because
okay.
and it does, especially like if we're doing a lot of self-inquiry or and meditation during the day, it will start to um, creep into the sleep cycle as well. So when we go to bed, it's like we're still there, we're still inquiring, we're still, they're engaged in this process of just being awake, so we can literally, you know, not separate it. You can continue that process through the sleep cycle, resting in that I amness or awareness, even as the mind drops off into dreams, into even deep sleep, we can rest as that awareness, not by doing anything. It just happens. It's just
Mhm.
a like a byproduct of doing a lot of continuous inquiry. Um, yeah, and there can be a lot of little jolting or energy configuration as that process unfolds as well.
So that kind of brings me to the second question, which might be a little shorter. So I've been doing TRE. I don't know if you know what TRE is.
Yeah.
Um, and I've always been kind of like a rebel, not like a spiritual person, really, I would
Hmm.
say, but like just kind of a rebel with like psychedelics and alternative medicines and options. And
Yeah.
so somatic was really interesting to me. So been doing TRE with psychedelics, and I think that that's having an effect because it's like deepening the effect of the
Hmm.
TRE maybe.
Hmm.
So a couple times now, TREs, with or without psychedelics, I've noticed that I think I might be touching on like six fetter stuff. I'm not really trying to, but afterwards, I've noticed that things are like 2D for a while,
Hmm.
and it's like I can't tell. Like I look at the floor and my legs and the floor are the same. Like it's just flat. They're like together. It's super weird. And then the other day was like walking around my house and everything just feels like it's like rising up towards me instead of me walking towards it. And I was
Hmm.
like, this just seems to be happening with like the TRE. And then it kind of bounces around and normalizes after a couple days and things are okay again. But I
Hmm.
just, is that normal? Like I'm kind of looking at fourth, fifth, like fetter stuff. I'm not really looking at sixth stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, like so when we start to free that energy, that Kundalini energy or prana, whatever you want to call it, it can get psychedelic for sure. It's definitely it's the same energy that we experience with plant medicines, and it's just sort of enhancing it. When we use psychedelics. But the way I look at psychedelics, I like Aldous Huxley's description of the conditioned mind is like a reducing valve. So the whole five skandhas, sensations, perceptions, preferences, that witnessing part of the mind is like a reducing valve. So when we're doing this work, doing the releasing, the energy releasing, using psychedelics, we're taking off that reducing valve, and it connects us to two different things. It opens up, traumas, samskaras, all the past conditioning, all of that come to the surface. But it also connects us to the supra conscious. So there's the subconscious and the supra conscious. So that energy can go up or down, and it can connect us to higher worlds and different dimensions of existence. And yeah, things can get very interesting when that happens.
And
And
emotional.
yeah, and
But it's okay.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's okay. And to me, the path is to not get attached, or not pushing away anything, and not getting super interested, or attached, or trying to produce anything in particular. To me, the equanimity that we're kind of cultivating in our practice. When we use these different plant medicines or do these different techniques that unlock a lot of energy, it's just an opportunity for deeper equanimity. Just see, who am I? When all this energy is, phenomena is unfolding, it's the same awareness, that is here now in ordinary life, and eventually, that bridge, when that inner wiring and that inner bridge is established, then ordinary life is that. It's not something separate that I'm connecting to this high state anymore. Once that that inner lotus is developed, it's all just the phenomena of this one experience. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Doris. Hi, Doris.
Hi, Dan.
Hello.
Hi. Um, I, um, I have a lot of energy coming up. Um, Basically, I have a fear that I'm going to kill somebody. And it's really intense. I don't want to kill someone. It's this fear of losing control and not being able to stop myself. And and I'm going to see this person on Thanksgiving, and it's I have this image, like in a movie where there's this rampage and someone comes in with a knife and just kills everybody and just and blood everywhere and so the fear is I'll be like that I'm going to lose control and do this, and it's
do you feel like it's a realistic fear, or is it just the mind?
yeah, this the mind. I mean, but I'm afraid I I could lose control over it.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when this comes up, have you explored, like are you doing a meditation practice right now? So when you're in your meditation, does this come up sometimes?
Well, it is a specific thought. It's kind of complicated. It's a specific thought that's coming up, and it has a lot of charge to it, and it keeps coming, and it brings a lot of grief because I feel like I did something terrible and caused great suffering, and and so this thought, it just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up, and each and
So when you say, so it's connected to this feeling of grief, so that feeling in the body, do you have a sense of where in the body that grief is felt? Like is it in the heart, or does it have a location, or?
well, uh, it's in the heart. But what you say, like, but I just want to say that you, in the practice, in the dyads, you say, that so much of it's incomplete communication that has to be communicated. And that's what this is all about, is something that happened that was very traumatic to me about 40 years ago. And then there were repercussions. And then I feel if I could just tell the person and complete that instead of holding it in. I feel like there's probably so much pressure in my body that's why it feels like it's going to lose control and kill someone, because there's so much repression and holding and probably a lot of anger and over what happened, and just a whole lot of different things. Anyway, I know this is probably not the place to bring this up in terms of, because it's like a kind of like a psychological problem that I should be in therapy for.
Yeah, well, I think what you just described, I think your intuition is exactly right. Like these things, if it is a trauma that's been held that long, the clearing of it is to have a complete communication, to have it done in a way where, in the dyad setting with a witness, then there's no reaction. There's no, the ego isn't going to get a hold of it, if someone is able to hold a neutral witnessing space. So if that's something, if you before you meet with that person, maybe we could do a trial run if you want to do a dyad with me, maybe some evening, and I'll just hold space for that, and just allow, and maybe it'll come up, maybe it won't, but just see, if it's ready to come forth. It may be beneficial because the charge of it, like you said, if the charge is really strong, the first time it comes up fully, it can be quite a intense charge. But then every time there may be waves of it that come after that, and usually that charge will get less and less over time. And as long as there's no reaction to it, that's the key. So when these traumas come up, we want to be with the experience, the energy of it, fully allowing it to come up, but not getting taken in the mind, like believing the thoughts. We want to be reporting the thoughts. So that's the difference, between something that is sort of therapeutic or beneficial versus, we can, if we believe the thoughts, if we actually get taken by the thoughts, then it can just sort of loop it, and that isn't necessarily productive. So if we can stay in that dyad container, that's what allows these things to fully express and move through.
What the quandary I'm in is I have this belief that I won't be free until I communicate with the person involved. And yet she has indicated she doesn't like to talk about things that are heavy or, the past. And so I want to do something that I feel has to be done to clear it. And yet I'm really scared to do it. She might be open now, but I'm scared to even ask her. And but in my mind, it's like I can't get out of this quandary, because what I think has to happen, I'm scared to open it up to ask if it can happen. And so I feel I stay stuck. Yeah.
Do you think she is, if you asked her, can you be a neutral witness for me? There's something I just want to clear, you could just tell her, this has been stuck in the mind, in the body mind for years, and I just need to clear this. Can you be a witness for me, and not respond, and just be totally neutral? Do you think she could do that?
That sounds really good. Yeah, to say it that way. That sounds very promising. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, like that practice, even with family and people who are not really on the path, I've usually if I approach it that way, it's like I have something I need to clear. This is just something that's coming up in the mind. Can you just hold space for it without reacting, without responding? Just be a total witness. and without judgment. And usually people will say yes, and it's in my experience, it's been pretty productive.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Now, if I can just make it through Thanksgiving, because the urge to kill is to kill this woman's daughter. And she's the one who's giving the Thanksgiving dinner.
That would ruin Thanksgiving.
That would ruin the dinner.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing how much force. I mean, the fear of the fear is so strong that it could make someone kill somebody. It's like, it's really awful.
Mm-hmm. I've actually had an experience. I had someone who I worked with in my business who years ago, it was actually the thing that took me deep into meditation, into Vipassana meditation. This guy was suing me. He was like trying to take my company at the time. Back then, I had a media company, and I had a whole different life. But so my mind, I felt the threat. It felt like, to the mind, it was like this existential threat, and there was no escape from it. Like this court case was ongoing, and it just kept looping in the mind, and my mind was literally coming up with scenarios of how to kill this guy, how to take him out, get a samurai sword, and fantasies about it, and I sat through many Vipassana retreats, just calming the mind, just feeling the sensations, feeling those attachments, and it was incredibly productive. And he was my meditation teacher back then. He was my greatest teacher, actually, because I would never have gone that deep in practice if I didn't have something that was sort of this existential threat that was out there. So it was excruciating to go through it, not fun, but incredibly liberating, and freeing, because it touched something very, very deep within the character, deep unconscious patterns.
And it wouldn't have been good. You weren't able to communicate directly with him and tell him how you felt and what was going on.
No, I did it all. The clearing happened without him being involved, because I didn't have those tools back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I was just wondering if you did try to communicate, if that would have done the trick, if he could have heard you.
well, my communication capability back then wasn't what it is now. So all my communications with him at that time went off the rails every time. So it was something that it took me into my own practice and my own attachments, and I had to, I think, see myself first before learning those dyad techniques. I don't think it would have been productive back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Dan.
Yeah. Thanks, Doris. And yeah, when is your you have a American Thanksgiving, right? It's
right. It's on Thursday.
on Thursday. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me know how it goes.
If I kill anyone. Okay.
Yeah.
You'll see it in the paper. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Doris. Lillian. Yes. Hi. Get you to unmute. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, I want to say thank you. And on Monday, that was yesterday, because I thought today I was on Wednesday, and it's like, whoa, what's going on? I got so lost from yesterday to today. And And during the dyad, I had on Sunday, I had a very strong dyad, I think. Was very nice, blissful, and whatever. And then after I went back to the meditation, and then because I believe I understood you said, to do the meditation, you breathe in, who am I, and then breathe out. Then I'm asking this question, who am I, or this imperative, right? And there is time, there is nothing comes. It's like, what the heck am I doing here? Why is this? Then I got very irritated that I couldn't get an answer. Okay, what am I? Am I gonna lie here? Who am I? I'm not the peace. I'm not. Who is that thing? Why am I thinking so much? Why do I search this? And all my search, tell the truth, is to quiet. I call my reactive mind, I call my hyperactivity, I call my aggressiveness, I call my let's do it. 1, 2, 3, it's done. Out of my way, let's go.
Yeah.
Right? Then it's very annoying to everybody around me. It's very aggressive. Then I'm trying to tame this thing. And I try medication, I can tell you. I went to every doctor, this and this and this and this, and take this medication, from bipolar to anything you can imagine. And my body gets so sick. I said, I'm sorry, I cannot take it. I rather just be crazy
Mhm.
because, it's insane, the side effects.
Mhm.
And then in July, I'm originally from Brazil. I live in the United States, San Diego area for the last 40 years. And if you can imagine it, a lot of meditation, Yogananda, you name it, the Sufi, you name it, everything I did.
Mhm.
Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, I walk on fire, I jump from the darn thing. I did everything you can imagine it. And my daughter this week, she asked me on Friday when we start, was Friday, no, was Saturday. She said, Mom, why are you going to do that again? Why can't you just stop? I said, because I need to tame that me, that thing that is always going on. And I don't know more what to do. In July, I went to Brazil and I went to ayahuasca ritual. And it was beautiful. I even didn't know what ayahuasca was. I thought ayahuasca was a mushroom, but it's not.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
thought because it was my daughter who suggested, because I was coming to see my family, and I said, I need to do something. I can't. And then she said, Mom, why don't you go to Brazil and do ayahuasca? And I asked, you want to kill me? You want to give me that mushroom that's a poison, that little red whatever? And she said, no, Mom, just go there and investigate. And I did. I have a lot of family, and then they direct me to a facilitator.
Mhm.
And not say that I didn't feel fear and a lot of stuff, feeling bad, sick, and whatever. And then that's what I learned. The trauma is coming out. The unconscious trauma is you're throwing up that
Mhm.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then at the end, you feel that little peace.
Yeah.
And now the dyad took me to that uncomfortable. I said, what the heck is that? Do you know,
Mhm.
like tears come? I said, why am I crying? Do you
Mhm.
know? And it's like, oh my God, my crying is just tears, right?
Mhm.
That cleaning trauma, like
Mhm.
ayahuasca? I have no clue because
Mhm.
it's more,
Exactly.
is that
Exactly.
the same?
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's exactly how it works. Yeah. So yeah, with all of these plant medicines and ayahuasca, what it does is, the usual mind. drops out of the way, and these deeper levels of mind come up to the surface. And it's the same thing that happens. It happens very slowly in meditation, not as dramatic. Yeah, and these energies can come up. Sometimes we know what it is and where it comes from. Sometimes we never know. It could be from before we even had language. Sometimes these imprints happen when we're really, really young. So that might just be tears that come, or it might just be a feeling or sensation, a wave that comes up of grief, or something we can't even describe. So yeah, so it opens the door. We're just by inquiring into who we are, and just being open. The answer is in this clearing process. So we're not looking for an answer with the mind. The mind will never be satisfied with any concept. But through this clearing, we want an embodied experience of being who we are. We don't want to just have a concept or an answer. We want to live it. We want to embody it, and it's that embodying aspect that we're going deep into the unconscious in this process to unburden all of these energies and all of these imprints that we've been living with. So it's exactly the same as what happens with ayahuasca. And in that space, what they don't do in the plant medicine world very often, there's a few facilitators I've met that do self-inquiry, but it's possible to directly experience who you are in that cleared space. Once we've had that release, then who is aware? What is that? Is it possible to directly experience that awareness? That is just here, not the phenomena, not the concepts, but just pure awareness itself.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then there is this longing, and I don't know where, all my life there is this longing for, who knows, God. There is this long that it's missing something all my life.
Mhm.
Ah, when uh, when I am outside, when I am close to a tree or a flower, or I just touch and I feel, oh my God, it's so nice. We are, together. You're here to, like when you see the flower is what she was, who knows, born to be. That thing?
Yeah,
Bloom
yeah,
with
yeah.
the smell, with the color, with the beauty, or when the birds come here, it's like, oh my God, you came to say good morning. It's like there is this connection, and I love it. And then, even traffic, because here there is a lot of traffic, then you are stuck somewhere. And then there is just this feeling that, oh my God, we're all together in this. Everybody with their lives and their fears, there is this connection that I have.
Yeah.
But I still cannot feel, do you know, going inside. I wish this feeling would stay. And you said on yesterday, in a message pre-recorded, you said about the hindrance, because on Sunday night I just want to quit. I said, you know what, this is not for me, it's not working. I'm here trying to figure out, I'm exhausted, and my body was exhausted, and the pain, and the mind going crazy. I said, can you shut up, for God's sake? Because I was like, who am I? Who am I? Okay, calm down. Who am I? Okay, just stay here. And then boom, boom, boom. The thinking goes to the office or to Brazil or who knows where. And then it's like, oh my God, I'm thinking away from what I'm supposed to. And then I said, okay, who am I? And then I go back.
Mhm.
But when I
That-
listened, yeah, I listened to your tape, you said the hindrance. all
Mhm.
the thing that, then just let it go. Like you said today, I think you're sitting on the bank and the river is passing.
Mhm.
Your words yesterday helped me to, do you know what? I'm going to try what he said. If the thinking comes, comes.
Mhm.
If the pain comes, it comes.
Yeah.
No fight.
Yeah.
No
That's
trying to
it.
find that bliss, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna get, Yogananda, I'm gonna get the yoga because I did
Yeah.
everything you
That's
can
it.
dream of.
Yeah.
Self-realization fellowship. I was there meditating for hours.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving and New Year's, I mean, Christmas and New Year's was sitting at the self-realization fellowship for 8 hours. My body can do that, but
Mhm.
not my mind. Then it didn't work. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what you described is it. So that's it. So yeah, just letting everything be. Let if thoughts are coming, because when you started out when speaking today, you talked about trying to conquer that mind. It's trying to, like, the mind is has this pattern or whatever. You said something about how it causes problems, and you wanting to conquer that mind, but it's only the mind that wants to conquer the mind. It's only the ego that wants to conquer the ego.
Oh,
So the only way out of that is to just let it go, let it be as it is, because the one that's trying to, subdue the mind is the mind itself. So the one that's just aware here, if when you're out in nature and you feel that connection, with the flowers and the trees and all of that, that doer, that part of the mind has probably gone quiet in those moments, right? You're not trying to connect with the tree. You're not trying to find out the secrets of the flower. It's just you're just there.
it's
You're
just
just
that.
with it. You're just part of what's happening. And that's our natural state, is to just be with what's happening. And somehow we get hooked into these patterns of the mind. We're trying to make something happen and trying to achieve samadhi like Yogananda or whatever it is. And the more we try, the more that doer is active. It's like the farther we get from it. And so that's the paradox of this practice, is by just allowing everything to be as it is, we, that little doer sort of dissolves. All the seeker, the doer, just dissolves into what's here, and we find that we're in a sense of ease then, and we feel that that is who we are, is more when we're just with what is. We're in the flow of what is. That's more who I am, and it's not about finding something with the mind.
Thank you. God
Mhm.
bless you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very thankful.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
I don't know how to turn off. Okay.
Okay, wow. Thanks, everyone. I think we are at almost 12:30 here. So yeah, thank you. And I'll see some of you in the dyads, and the rest of you, I wish you a beautiful day, a beautiful week. And we'll be here next week if you want to connect. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Oh my God, let me put leave.